Bună ziua! Hello everyone. I hope you had some amazing sessions and you managed to answer some of your burden questions about artificial intelligence, change management, infrastructure, and so on. I know that it's been a very, very long day, and there were many topics that were presented. In the last part of our event, we will introduce you some innovative solutions, and I guarantee that will surprise you. So I would suggest to start the next session, the spotlight on innovation. Can you imagine the world without innovation? One thing is for sure, without innovation, we wouldn't be here talking about intelligent automation. And if we have to start with a very simple and short experiment and imagine that the electricity was never invented, what could have happened? First of all, this entire room will be covered in darkness. But if we are going deeper, without electricity, for sure, there will be no transistors. And without transistors, there will be no personal computers. And without personal computers, there will be no internet, no emails, no WhatsApp, no Facebook, no Uber. So innovation has a domino effect. One innovation is boosting the other. For those of us living, working, and thriving in the innovation universe, it seems like heresy to even think about this experiment. Most of the time, we are taking those innovations for granted. And as Kathy mentioned during her speech, we often tend to put too much trust on the technology. And sometimes it's becoming very frustrating when the technology is not working as perfectly as it should. Just to give you a very short and funny example, 2 weeks ago, I was driving my car on Ștefan cel Mare Boulevard, so you know the traffic in the morning, when I saw the traffic light turning red. What else can you do in such situation than to stop the car? Apparently, the driver behind had a totally different opinion, and he crashed into my car. Fortunately, the damage was minor, but instead of apologizing for not paying attention to the road, the other driver was blaming the collision avoidance system of his car. He was actually thinking to sue the car manufacturer and was asking me if I want to be a witness in that particular trial. So we discovered this kind of system about 1 or 2 years ago, and somehow we are hoping that will be 100% reliable, which is not necessarily the case. Innovation is the engine for any society aspiring to grow. In 2019, European Union innovation performance outmatched United States for the very first time in the recent history. In the same report, Romania scores the last position in EU, being tagged as modest innovator. But in my view, considering the latest investments made in the Romanian startup ecosystem, I strongly believe that we will improve this score. And the 2 startups that will join me on the stage today are making me to believe that in the future we will be higher in this rank. A century ago, there were 2 main resources in question: oil and gold. Today, data is considered the new digital gold. It's not a surprise for anyone to see that some of the most profitable companies in the world are making money out of data. Amazon captures half of all dollars spent online in the United States. Google and Facebook are dominating the global digital advertising market, generating over 170 billion in revenues from online advertising. Data, we can ask ourselves how they are making money out of the data. Data is the fuel for machine learning, the branch within artificial intelligence that helps computer to learn from data and to discover patterns without being explicitly programmed to do so. The more data you give to the algorithm, the more patterns it discovers, and the more accurate the results will be. So using the data that we are generating or collecting and applying machine learning combined with some other technologies, we can learn more about our customers, we can better design our products and services, and for sure we can increase the customer experience. And Andra will tell us more in her presentation about this concept and how their company are helping us to improve the customer experience. And I mentioned before that data is considered the new digital gold. And this makes it very attractive for different organizations and individuals. We have moved our personal life, our professional life in the cloud. And maybe it's not necessarily very visible, but we have created our own unique digital identity. If we are not putting security, digital security, as a top priority for us, we are becoming very vulnerable to attacks, which might destroy our digital identity in a blink. More and more companies, I would say and hope that all of them, are investing a lot in protecting our data and trying to avoid data breaches. But using only traditional authentication mechanism, it's not necessarily true that it will never happen. I will tell you some shocking statistics. 9 of 10 persons in this room, for sure, had at least one account that was compromised in a data breach. 9 of 10. So, how can we protect this? One example is by using 2 authentication mechanisms and biometrics as a second layer to the traditional authentication mechanism. And Alex from TypingDNA will show how this technology works. Nothing and no one in this world can guarantee 100% success and safety in this fast-moving world. That's why, in addition to the investment that we are making in technology, we should invest also in our education. When we are empowered to collaborate, when we are building new competencies, when we are developing our creativity, we can drive innovation no matter of the challenges that we will face in the future. When we are not innovating, we are standing still. And when we stand still, the world is leaving us behind. With no further ado, I will invite next to me Andra from Morphle to talk about their products and to see exactly how their products can help us to better attract customers, to customize our products, to increase the customer experience, and so on. Andra?
Hi, everyone. Now, have you ever noticed this? There are parts of Bucharest where there's always a price surge for Uber. You might experience this on your way out of the conference tonight. Places like the old city center, or the neighborhoods where tall office buildings tend to cluster together. Now, this price surge is no coincidence, of course. Uber does today what taxi drivers have been doing for ages, which is sizing you up and down and noticing your clothes, your bag, or your phone to figure out just how much you can afford to spend. Uber has automated this analysis. It's made it seamless. Maybe you haven't thought about it this way until now. So what's interesting is that, of course, Uber will never tell us how it does this, but their AI lab is certainly doing quite good work. So what if you could use artificial intelligence to drive business growth for your company, your way, according to your principles? What if you could identify your most valuable customers and those who want to actually buy from you? What if you could tell the difference between those customers who are just browsing your website for research and those who have their credit card ready to go? And what if you could anticipate a user's next move so you can actually dynamically tailor the experience according to their specific and individual needs on the spot? You don't have to be Uber to do this. We're here to help. My name is Andra Zaharia, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Morphle. Let me tell you a bit about what we do. Morphle is an AI as a platform. That means that we've developed a range of AI applications that are built in, designed to help you increase your business revenue with your existing resources. And the way we do that is by using artificial intelligence to predict customer behavior. Because when you know that a certain customer will add a new iPhone to their cart before they do, you can greet that customer with an offer they can't refuse. So just let's take a look at how this actually works in real life. One of our predictive models is user search intent. So let's say a user goes online and searches for iPhone for sale. Morphle will immediately know that their intent is more likely to be transactional. So when they land on your e-commerce website, Morphle instantaneously calculates the probability that that individual user will go through with the purchase. So here's where it becomes interesting. Because it's built in and integrated within your business flow and with your marketing tools, you can actually automate actions in your marketing campaigns. So for users who have, let's say, a 60 to 80% probability that they will end up buying that iPhone, your marketing team can choose to give them a discount. And there's another opportunity here as well. If you happen to have a returning customer whose predicted lifetime value is over €1,000, you can choose to upsell that customer on the spot by offering them complimentary products or accessories, such as an iPhone case. The beauty of this entire process is that it's fully automated, saving your team a lot of time and energy so they can focus on making strategic decisions. What's more, you can actually give your customer what they need on the spot when their enthusiasm for that new iPhone is at its highest. Here are a couple of results we've already had with this particular model. We've worked with Jot Internet Media, a Spanish ad tech company, and we've managed to increase their click-through rate by 7%. So that means that for their ad campaigns that they run worldwide in English, they managed to get this uplift. What's more, we managed to increase the return on investment for these ad campaigns by 28% because they used Morphle to predict user search intent based on the keywords they use and integrate it directly into their ad copy. Now, when you work with large amounts of data, such as Jot does, because they run thousands of ad campaigns per day, a 2-digit increase in conversion and in ROI makes a very big difference on the bottom line. Here's another example from our work. One of our other models that we use is shopping stage prediction. So what we do is that we help you identify those users who are most likely to purchase specific products. When they come to your website, Morphle automatically calculates the probability that they will do either of the following things, such as continue to browse through products, or add a product to cart, go to checkout, or finalize the transaction. So based on this probability for MobExpert, for our customer, we feed it directly into their e-commerce platform, Shopify. So they're able to display offers that are tailored to each individual users on the spot, such as this one. We're currently piloting the next shopping stage prediction for MobExpert, and we've actually forecasted a 500% growth in revenue for their remarketing campaigns alone. And that's because we'll be targeting specific users with the specific products they're interested in. Now, there's a lot you can achieve with AI today, but one of the most interesting things is the fact that you can go deeper than ever into the customer's behavior, mindset, and context in a GDPR-compliant manner, of course. So, as you've seen, Morphle, being an AI as a platform, gives you the opportunity to use plenty of practical AI applications, such as predicting user behavior based on the keywords they use, figuring out which shopping stage they're going to go into next, so you can actually tailor that experience directly to their specific interests. But there's more you can do as well. You can actually predict your customer's lifetime value, which means that you'll be able to figure out how to tailor and kind of create dynamic customer experiences for each of these users. And plus, you can also predict churn to figure out which of your users are at risk of moving on to your competitors. And this gives you a good chance of winning them back before they leave. Now, we've worked really hard to make Morphle extremely easy to use and easy to integrate, because any marketing and digital professional can actually work with Morphle without needing any type of AI specialist to guide them or assist them. So that's why we like to call Morphle a human-friendly AI, because we focus both on improving your business KPIs and the customer's experience. Morphle is extremely easy to use, as I mentioned. All you have to do is go to the dashboard and select your predictive model. Next, you connect your data source. We have a range of options to choose from Google Analytics to Google 360, Google Ads, Mixpanel, and so on and so forth. After that, you'll start seeing predictions immediately. And that's because all predictions created by Morphle are funneled through an API, which makes it easier for software developers to integrate these AI-generated insights directly into your digital products and services. Now, because we've worked with large companies to implement AI projects, of course, we're working constantly with this data to improve and fine-tune our models. And that means that their accuracy grows in time, and your business performance will improve along with it. And before I wrap up, I have 3 lessons that we've learned while working with these large companies to implement AI projects. And I think that these might come helpful to some of you. They kind of also echo some of the experiences that have been talked about on the stage today. So the first one is that working with AI is an iterative process. That means that once you introduce AI to a system, the customer's behavior changes, and your internal workflow will change as well. So it's important to know that you'll have to make adjustments along the way. Just think of how voice search through virtual assistants, such as Siri or Alexa, have changed the way people search for information online. The second thing is that a proof of concept is a straightforward way to determine if you can actually use AI to solve a real problem in your organization. In a later stage, you can actually use this proof of concept to confirm whether you can scale AI adoption to meet other business needs you might have. And third, and most importantly, we strongly believe that it takes both humans and AI to deeply understand customers and to create customer experiences that are truly valuable. And we believe this because AI is not a replacement for human analysis or insight, but it's rather something that can boost your team's impact and effectiveness. AI can pinpoint which problems we need to solve, but it can help us, specifically in this context, get a richer set of information that we can work with to be able to serve our customers better and improve our business performance. So I hope you'll take this opportunity to think how you could use AI in our organization, and we'd be more than excited to help you get started with your first AI project. Thank you for your time, and let's make it happen.
Thank you, Andra. Now we have seen how we can better use your data floating around your organization, and for sure you might think to different use cases specific to your particular industry. I'm inviting Alex now to show us how we can protect this data and how we can get advantage of biometric technologies. Alex?
Thank you. Hold on. Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for still sticking around in such large numbers. I'm really humbled by this. I'm Alex from TypingDNA, and my goal today is to plant the seeds for some ideas, which will hopefully turn out to become some really good methods of helping you accelerate your identification and authentication systems. So, first of all, the first idea that I want to discuss today is that passwords alone are bad. How many of you are familiar with this? So passwords are just becoming longer and longer. They're becoming more complicated, harder to remember. Raise your hands. Who here has a policy where you have to change your passwords every 6 weeks, every 3 months or so? Yeah, almost everybody, exactly. And the problem with this is that despite the fact that you keep changing the passwords, they're just as weak against attacks. So I don't know if you're familiar with this site, Have I Been Pawned? There are over 8.5 billion accounts which have been compromised here. These range from your company credentials to your personal credentials. Also, another byproduct of really long, complicated, and constantly changing passwords is this. They end up on Post-its. Look at this smart guy. Yeah, this was on national television in the US. These are the industries most affected by data breaches. I think that most of you find yourself within one of these industries. I think that the most vulnerable ones are in fact not so much healthcare but financial and technology, because that's where actually really precious information regarding IP, regarding security is being stored. How many of you find yourselves on this list by industry? Okay, so quite a few. Yeah, so what we do is, you're all familiar with biometric security. So you use fingerprints, facial recognition. We use them on our phone and online banking. It's really simple. Biometry means a measure of BIOS, of our body. What we do is the logical iteration of this, which is behavioral biometrics, which means that we measure the way a user behaves rather than their physical traits. And this has only been recently possible because of changes in algorithm, in technology, and in cloud computing, basically. Just a short story about how this is. You know when you're somewhere out in an open space, like in a market or in a square, and you see a figure in the distance, and they're walking towards you, and they're like 150, 200 meters away. You cannot make out their face, but you know who that is because it's a loved one, it's a person who's very close to you, maybe it's your in-laws. But you automatically recognize the way that that person moves. And that's basically built inside you. You recognize their behavior, the way that they move. So what our algorithm does is the same with the way people type. And I would like some help from Razvan here to do a demo of how this actually works. So a big round of applause for Razvan. I feel like a magician.
I don't know. You can hear me. It was my childhood dream to be the guinea pig. So what exactly do I have to do?
So I'll look away. You type in an email and a password, and I'll try to break in. Okay?
Okay. So
we're going to register a user using their credentials and their typing behavior.
Okay. I'm entering the password only once, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you click on the eye icon?
Yeah. But come on, what are you doing now? It's very easy for you.
Okay. So I'm officially a hacker right now. This is the way hacking actually works. Okay, so he registered for our service.
I don't think you are the right definition of a hacker because you have seen the password.
It's called social engineering.
So,
it's the new trend.
Okay.
So let me, You want to log in?
No. Please,
okay.
Go ahead.
So my telepathy tells me that it was Razvan at ey.com. Is that correct?
Maybe.
Let me just check. That was the password, right?
I don't think so.
No? Let us see. Okay, so we failed once, 6% overlap. Go ahead, try it again.
Is it working for me?
It should be. Okay. Okay, yeah, so it mixed up the both authentications, but you can see that the accuracy increased from 6% to 7%. You can go ahead and try it again.
Maybe I have changed my typing behavior.
No, it was my first failed authentication. It was my mistake.
Let's see, once again.
Okay. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's it. So basically, despite the fact that I knew his credentials, I couldn't get into his account. And this is a very good frictionless method to authenticate your customers if you have online platforms, or your employees if you are running interior, identity and access management. So we can go back to the presentation now. Thank you very much, Razvan. Are we back? Okay, so how does this work? What did you see there? We're basically looking at your key press and key release times and mouse movements for desktop, and for mobile phones, key press, key release times, and accelerometer, gyroscope movement. And we record your typing behavior. That's the part which you saw right there. We also do data engineering and machine learning on our cloud. That's the part which you didn't see. And then we push out a result. That's the authentication. You saw that one. And the major advantages of this is that there's always a trade-off between user experience, convenience, and security. And what this means is you can have a very secure system, but it's not going to be user-friendly. So it's not going to be adopted by users. And what we're doing is, in this trade-off, we're sort of pushing this forward, and we're making something which is extremely secure, and yet it's still very convenient for users to use. Basically, it's something like this if you saw this cartoon in your childhood. The right person goes through, doesn't feel a thing, then the bad guy gets stopped. Okay, so the general benefits are it's a passive security layer that runs in the background. It doesn't affect user experience. It doesn't require the user's collaboration to authenticate him. We had some speakers here about chatbots. This is one of the really cool use cases where you kind of protect yourself against social engineering attacks through chatbots. It's a tokenless authentication. For those of you who have online banking tokens, this technology effectively replaces that. So it's a much easier solution in terms of hardware costs and support cost. And it's device agnostic, so you can run it on desktops, on mobile phones, on whatever. As long as the user types, we can know for sure that we can authenticate that user. And that's amazing. So I wanted to break down some of the most familiar use cases which we have. This is how many of you are in financial services? Anybody still here? Okay, so you're pretty familiar with PSD2, right? And the strong customer authentication requirement. Just recently in June, the EBA, which is the European Banking Authority, approved keystroke dynamics as a second factor authentication for online banking solutions. And we have some projects in this sphere to create user-friendly authentication. So next time, maybe when you log into your online banking, you won't require to enter your e-token on your phone or your physical token, which you have. It's also a very good fraud reduction method with the banks that we are working worldwide. They don't have this regulation for PSD2, but they use us as a fraud reduction method. It mainly defends against remote access attacks. So when somebody knows your device and can enter your device, they know your credential, and the institution does not realize that it's being attacked because it's using your device to attack the bank. Another use case is employee sign-on. So we talked about the way that you constantly have to change your passwords, and that's really annoying. And the people aren't really security compliant with this because, as I said, passwords end up on Post-its, and that's a major headache for any CISO, if we have any CISO over here. It's very easy to integrate in identity and access management solutions, which means that you won't even realize that this solution is running, but you'll still be able to have the benefit of having a 2FA solution. And a bit of a shout out to our team on the tech side. We've been mentioned in Gartner's Identity and Access Management Magic Quadrant, and we're the only behavioral biometric company mentioned there. And last but not least, the online learning use case. This is a use case which is very dear to me. So we're trying to spread knowledge through means of online learning, and the problem with this is credibility. How do you deliver credible online learning resources? Because everybody can be impersonated and they can cheat, and then you end up selling certificates, not actually teaching people and then certifying that they have valuable knowledge which they can add to a company. And the solution for this was proctoring. You've got one guy who is watching you through your webcam. That's not really a lovely job for that person to have to monitor students remotely through their webcam. And it's also not really cost efficient. And we're using this solution with proctoring platforms all around the world and with the universities to automatically authenticate their learners when they're doing online courses. And this generally, I think, drives the improvement of credibility of online learning as a valid method of teaching and spreading knowledge to the world. So, all in all, thank you very much for your time. Our vision is really to pioneer behavioral biometrics and have this technology on your devices regardless of device. So maybe 5 years from now, we will be able to have embedded typing biometrics in your hardware. Right now, at the moment, we're only working with partners who integrate our technology into their online platforms, whether it's payment platforms, whether it's employee single sign-on, whether it's online banking platforms or online learning platforms. And just as a closing remark, I think that Răzvan touched on something really cool. This is a Romanian technology. The code is written and designed here in Oradea, and the sales force is mostly built out here in Bucharest, Romania. And we were a global first company, so our first Romanian customer was in February of this year. Actually, our first customers were mostly in the US and Latin America, and only now we're starting to spread. So there's a lot of value that Romanian entrepreneurship can bring to the world, and I also think that it should bring more and more valuable to the Romanian economy as a whole as well. So that's been me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take that clicker off you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex, Andra, and Răzvan, for some really thought-provoking presentations, I thought. So thank you very much for that. So we're coming up to the close of the day. It has been a day full of some really insightful presentations. We've heard some great speakers, and I'm sure there's concepts that have really resonated with you, each one of you actually, to all types of extent. They certainly have with me personally. It's really the diversity of the different perspectives that have really inspired me, and something that I will definitely take back. We've heard some great stories. Leading analysts always have a wealth of insights from their global research, and actually the presentation that Craig gave was really interesting because it was very relevant to the subject that we're here to talk about today. But then Boris, Ian, and Claire all gave their perspective around leading automation technology. And that was really interesting to hear about where the platform, where the automation platform vendors are going. And Kathy's presentation around the whole AI risk management convinced me that we need to do a better job at building trust by talking about these challenges honestly and factually. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to be in all three workshops and listen to all the debates. I did listen to the one in this room, but I did get an opportunity to exchange some ideas with some of the speakers and some of the panelists. And I must say that their ideas converge to create this comprehensive view of how to get automation and humanization absolutely right, which is key. The innovation team I've already mentioned, Răzvan, Andra, and Alex, gave me a really nice dose of inspiration on how to succeed at building something relevant at a small scale by using tools at hand. And Aurelia, you definitely also inspired me. Determination to keep Romania really at the top of the list when it comes to automation, and particularly this area is very inspiring. So thank you very much. Aurelia, what did you take from today?
Thank you, Sunil, and also thank you for orchestrating today's, let's say, concert of sharing ideas and experiences. And for me, because it has been a long day full of ideas, good content, good discussions, and I'm inspired by what I heard from Alex and Andra. I just want to share with you a few thoughts. One would be that we see businesses, companies, we need to execute a dual strategy. We need to run the business as we know it today, the business as usual, as well as pivot new ideas, new concepts, new technologies. And we need to figure out how to combine these ones and at which speed we need to do them. And I trust that ideas that you've heard today are building blocks that you can mix and match to build your organizational roadmap and to respond to your specific challenges. And let's not forget that we can take advantage of the ecosystem of partnerships of all the vendors that we've seen today, and not only them, to help you progress quicker on solving your organizational challenges. Another thought goes to the RPA. As I mentioned also at the beginning, technology was tested, results were obtained, and those organizations who have followed certain structured approach, like Greg was mentioning the rule of 5, they have obtained very specific, tangible results from automation. Then we need to think how we can go to the next level, and this involves wider business transformation. This involves having an automation strategy and linking this automation strategy to people strategy. And last but not the least, I was inspired by Kathy, and I think we all have to work and help governments understand the implications, the ethical implications of artificial intelligence. We know there are governments in the world who started to build artificial intelligence strategies for the countries, tackling implications on environment, healthcare, work, education, especially education. So this would be a longer-term effort that we all need to contribute to for the well-being of our children. And to conclude, I think, as it is the case with the orchestra, as we've seen in the morning, all the stakeholders involved in digital transformation, driven by automation in this case, need to be connected, need to synchronize in order to really take benefits from automation. And with that in mind, I thank you all for being here today, for taking part in this big concert, I would say, sharing ideas, sharing experience. I thank you to the organizers, to the venue team, to the moderators, to the speakers. We had a large orchestra, I would say. And with that in mind, I trust you had a great day, and you are looking forward to our next year's conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much.